I'd like to welcome you to the second episode of the podcast. We got a lot to talk about today. We got NFL playoffs. We got UFC 311. I have a guest today, Andy. He's a Bills superfan. We're going to talk Bills Ravens. I have my NFL predictions for this weekend and reality TV. I'm not going to break down last weekend's wild card matchups. We watched them. We know what happened. The world broke them down already. I'm going to give you my winners and losers from this past weekend. Loser number one, Justin Herbert. I don't want to hear anybody else talk about this guy being a top 5 quarterback. I've been saying this guy's overrated. In my last video, I said he had beautiful hair and I trusted him. I fell for it. He's a fraud. I've said from the beginning that I think he's overrated, but I fell for it this season, and I was wrong too. The Chargers were the only game I got wrong this weekend. And Justin Herbert had 3 interceptions all year. He had 4 interceptions in this game. He's a complete fraud. He's got beautiful, beautiful hair. But he's a fraud and he's a loser. Winner, Jaden Daniels. This guy is a stud. In his first playoff game, as a rookie, goes into Tampa Bay, visitor, wins that game. He looks good, okay? Detroit, I think they're going to win. They're at home. But I think the Commanders are going to give him a little bit of a go, and I think it's because they have Jaden Daniels and they have the confidence behind that young man. I'm going to give you another winner before I get to the biggest loser of the weekend. And my winner is the Buffalo Bills defense. Okay, they looked quite average all season, but they really tightened up against the Broncos. They've gotten some people back healthy, Milano, some other guys, and they looked good. Okay, the Ravens should be a little bit nervous because this Bills defense looks good. This Sean McDermott defense looks fantastic. And the biggest loser from last weekend's wildcard games, and I think it's pretty obvious that it's Sam Darnold. What an atrocious game. Yes, he had no blocking, but boy, oh boy, did he look like Jets Sam Darnold. You know what? The Jets should sign him. Jets might be the only team willing to sign him after that game. And that was just a terrible, terrible game by Sam Darnold. Biggest loser of the weekend by far, Sam Darnold. All right, before we get into some more sports, Johnny Pogs, he has a lot of interests outside of sports. Like, I like Star Wars. I like the MCU. I'm a big nerd. I also love reality TV. So I'm going to call this segment Johnny Pogs Reality TV Roundup. And I have 2 shows that I want to tell you about. If you haven't been watching them, these are fun ones. They're kind of like competition shows, reality TV competition shows. And I'm going to tell you the first one is The Traitors. They got a great cast this year, okay? Boston Rob. They have some other Survivor players, some Big Brother players that I like. Nikki Bella from WWE. This is going to be a great season of Traitors. So if you don't already watch Traitors, I would say tune in. But the real reason I wanted to talk about reality TV is because one of my favorite, if not my favorite, reality TV icon has returned after 20 years off. A 20-year hiatus from reality TV. The greatest Big Brother player of all time, Dr. Will Kirby, returned to reality TV this week on Deal or No Deal Island, which is a good show. But it went from being a good show to a must-watch show. Dr. Will Kirby is must-watch television. When he's on your screen, he's the most charming person I've ever seen. This guy exudes confidence. He oozes it. Here's a short clip from this past week's episode to show you who this guy is and maybe get you a little excited to maybe tune into Deal or No Deal Island and see my guy, Dr. Will Kirby.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Dr. Will, and I'm the best Big Brother player of all time. The tuxedo was my idea. I wanted to wear it to let them know I'm not the banker, but I am going to be making the rules.
What a man. What a man. You know, I used to be a little bit nervous public speaking or even doing this, like talking to the camera. But when I watched Dr. Will Kirby on Big Brother All-Stars on YouTube when I was in high school, it really changed how I approached speaking in front of people. And now I get really excited to talk in front of people. I feel very confident, and a lot of it is because I watched Dr. Will Kirby. I know that's maybe a little strange or weird, but he gave me confidence to be confident. So thank you, Dr. Will Kirby. I'm excited that you're back. Let's get back to some sports. All right, UFC 311 is this Saturday night, and I have 5 picks for the main card. I'll also be posting more picks on my TikTok when I do Pound for Pound with Johnny Pogs. This is the podcast version of Pound for Pound with Johnny Pogs. I'm not going to be punching any stuffed animals, but I'll give you who I think is going to win. All right, so we'll start with the first fight of the main card. We got Kevin Holland versus Rainier Day Ritter. I'm taking Kevin Holland. He's my boy, and it's pretty even odds. I'm going to take Kevin Holland in this matchup. Next up, we got Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Now, Renato's been on a really big hot streak, but Beneil is such an annoying fighter, and he's a dog. I'm taking Beneil. He's so annoying to fight, and he's going to do well against Renato. All right, this fight's a banger. This might be the best fight on the card, and it's the third fight. It's right before the co-main. We got Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill, and I'm taking Yuri. This is honestly a coin flip. You could pick either fighter. This is going to, nobody knows who's going to win this fight. It could go so many different ways. They're both just going to stand there and bang. It's going to be whoever can last the longest pretty much is going to win this fight. I'm taking Yuri, though, because he's a savage. He's an animal. He's an assassin. He's a gladiator. He's literally a samurai. All right, moving on to the co-main event. We got Merab versus Umar. Both of these guys are wrestlers who have decent striking. Umar's got a little bit better striking than Merab, but I think it's going to be tough for Merab because Merab usually dominates people with smothering wrestling offense, but Umar is probably the best wrestler he's faced. That's probably why Umar is favored in this matchup, and that is why I'm picking Umar to win this, because he is a matchup nightmare for Merab. Maybe not a nightmare, but he kind of cancels out a lot of the things Merab usually dominates people with. So I'm going to take a crack at Umar here. And finally, the main event, Islam defending his title against Arman Tarsukian. I'm not good at pronouncing names. I think I did okay there. Islam, I hope he wins this match. I don't want him to lose his title to Arman. I'm not a big fan of Islam. I always usually cheer for the person he's fighting. But Islam is dominant. He's very good. He's coached by Habib, obviously. So I'm going to take Islam in this matchup. Again, Arman's a really good wrestler too, so that might cancel out their wrestling. But Islam has shown that he has very elite striking as well. So give me Islam to retain his belt. Those are my picks for UFC 311. What do you think? So that was UFC. I got a special guest coming up right now, Andy. He's a super fan of the Bills. He goes to Bills home games. He's got season tickets. He is very knowledgeable about this team. So help me out in welcoming Andy to the program. Andy, here's the interview. Thanks for joining me, Andy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk some Bills-Ravens. You guys go to a lot of games, eh? How many live games did you go to this year?
This year, we went to every home game except for the 49ers and the Patriots games in December, the weather.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm not missing this one.
No. I've been to some really cold Bills-Patriots games where I lost feeling in my toes and fingers for about a month. So what I wanted to ask you is, the Ravens played did the Ravens play the Bills in Buffalo this year? Was that
No,
it was in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay. And they beat them up pretty bad. The Ravens beat them up, right?
They did.
How do you expect this game to go? How is the outcome going to be different this time?
Well, both teams are quite different now than they were week 4. The Bills did not have Matt Milano. Terrell Bernard was hurt the week before against the Dolphins. They did not have Von Miller was on a pitch count. He was about to be suspended. Ed Oliver got hurt in the first quarter. They hadn't traded for Amari Cooper yet. Josh Allen broke his hand week 1, and it was still pretty raw and tender at that point. He was still doing the whole shaking hands after every play. So they got their guys back. They didn't have Taron Johnson also. So they were playing with Dorian Williams, Nicholas Moreau, and Balen Spector as their 3 linebackers. And while those guys are good special teams players or situational players, you don't want those guys as your starting linebackers.
Absolutely.
Against Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And they were angry. They started the season 0-2, so you knew they were going to be coming in pretty angry. The Bills' defense, which I would say, obviously with all the injuries they had, looked quite average, but against the Broncos, they looked like they tightened things up. What do you think they have to do to slow down Lamar and Derrick Henry this weekend?
I think they just have to really just be themselves. They have done it before. The COVID year, Bills fans, that Taron Johnson pick 6, 103 yards is one of our favorite plays to watch. And they just have to be that team where they just are, and it's a cliche thing that the coach always says, but do your 111th. You have a job on each play. All 11 of you do your job. They're going to do it. And I think the thing that teams fall for so often is that Lamar and Derrick Henry can both run the ball. Those read options, you can fall for them really quickly and be run in one direction and Lamar's going the other. They just have to not bite on those plays.
Yeah. And I read a stat earlier. Lamar Jackson this season, when he's thrown over 30 passes in a game, pass attempts, he's 0-3 or 0-4. So I guess the best strategy would be to force him to throw the ball, shut down that run early, and try to make him throw the ball and beat him that way.
Exactly. Another thing that I was thinking about today is if the Bills decide to take the ball first, maybe try and score on that first drive to make the Ravens have to throw.
Absolutely. That's been the Ravens' downfall the last few playoff years, is when they get down, they just completely abandon the run.
Exactly.
Which is their bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Give me a couple X factors for this game. We know Josh Allen's Superman. He's going to do his thing. We trust Josh. We love Josh. But who are some X factors that people might not expect that might be a factor in this game to get them the W?
There's a couple on offense. I really do think that we're going to start to see a potential game from Keon Coleman, young rookie, big-bodied wide receiver. The Ravens struggle against those big-body wide receivers, especially when you're throwing out the side of the numbers. Yes, Amari Cooper is awesome. Marlon Humphrey's probably going to be shadowing him. The second-string guy that they have, his last name's Stevens. I don't know his first name. He does struggle a lot against big-bodied receivers. So I could see the Bills trusting Keon Coleman, letting him go up, get one of those jump balls on him, and the Bills trying to keep the Ravens in their lighter personnel by not throwing an extra lineman or two tight ends out there and letting the bigger body receivers do their job. And then on defense, I think it's Von Miller time. It's coming. That bend, he's so close to being who he was before the injury 2 years ago. You start to see that bend. Where he just bends around a tackle. And yeah, he's ramping up. And I think he feels a little disrespected, especially after what Surtain texted him last week saying, you guys are done. It's our time. Oh, wow. He took that very personally.
He looked really good against the Broncos. I agree.
He did. And yeah, it's Miller time.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, before I let you go, Josh Allen, MVP. Give me your best case for him winning over Lamar.
Well, the first thing that everybody says is, Josh Allen doesn't have Derrick Henry. Well, he has James Cook. Yeah, excellent player. They actually have the same number of regular season touchdowns. But something that Josh Allen can just do on his own is just absolutely take over a complete game and just wreck it for the other team. He avoids sacks like no other. And he really elevates other players. Mac Hollins, for example. Most people at the beginning of the year wouldn't even have known who he was. I believe he leads the team in receiving touchdowns. Wow. And it's just things like that where a player who is a good situational player on another team comes here and really excels. And yes, it's because of that player's hard work, but somebody like Josh Allen just elevates everyone around him.
Yeah. All right, I love that. Well, I appreciate you coming on, talking some Bills-Ravens, and I hope you enjoy the game, and I think that you would enjoy it if they won, so I hope they win.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, awesome, buddy. All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Thanks, you too.
Wow, wasn't that a great interview, folks? He's very good. He was very knowledgeable about the Bills, so that was very good. Thank you for coming on, Andy. I'm going to talk about some NFL now. We got the divisional round. The divisional round, people. This is always probably the best round. It's better than the conference championships. It is my favorite round, at least, the divisional round. Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Whoa. I don't want the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl again, but they are going to win this game. They're at home. They're playing the Texans. The spread's +8. I'm obviously going to take the Texans +8 because the Chiefs don't cover spreads. They'll probably win this game by 1 or 2 points. It'll feel like they were in control the whole game, but they will just squeak out a victory. Mark my words, this game the Chiefs will not win by more than 8 points, but they will win. I think Travis Kelce's going to have a big game. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to look good. He's in his divisional round career, he's 6-0, 16 touchdowns, no turnovers. This guy's a monster in the divisional round. CJ Stroud, after a slow start against the Chargers, looked really good. Him and Nico Collins were connecting, but if the Chiefs can somehow slow down Nico Collins, I don't know how much the Texans offense has to offer, but they will find a way to score. The Chiefs don't score a lot of points this year. It's going to be a low-scoring game, I think. Chiefs got a good defense, but I think they keep it. I think the Texans keep it within 8 with the Chiefs winning. Lions Commanders. I don't even know what to think of this game because the spread's 10, and I could 100% see the Lions just dog walking the Commanders and sending them home with like a 35-17 kind of win. Lions defense still a little banged up. They're getting a little healthier, but I could see Jaden Daniels also keeping it close just because the Lions defense is a little banged up right now. However, I do see the Lions winning this game. They're not getting eliminated in the divisional round. They're well rested. They're well coached. And David Montgomery's playing. That's going to be huge for their running game. The Commanders don't have a great run defense. I think they give up something like 140 yards per game on the ground. Looked a little bit better against the Buccaneers, but it was still a little leaky. And this is an elite running offense. This is the best offensive line in football. Give me the Lions to win. I'm not really going to pick one. I'm not going to pick anything on the spread because I really don't know. I don't know which way it's going to go. It's either going to be a blowout for the Lions or the Lions win by a touchdown. All right, moving on to the Eagles versus the Rams. The Rams looked very impressive against the Vikings. Their defense looked really good, getting a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold, holding onto the ball way too long. Don't have to worry about that with Jalen Hurts because he barely throws the ball. They're going to be running this ball like crazy with Saquon. Rams run defense looked pretty good against the Vikings, but this offensive line for the Eagles is elite. Probably the second best offensive line behind the Lions. And you got Saquon running behind it. They're going to wear down the Rams. I think the Eagles win this game. I think they cover the 6 points. I think it's going to be something like 24-14. And where's Cooper Kupp? Matt Stafford. Buddy, you have 2 really good receivers. You don't have to just throw it to Puka. Get Cooper Kupp involved, man. They have no chance. The Eagles win by, I think, 10 points. Finally, the main event of the divisional round. This is going to be potentially game of the year. I hope it is. It's in Buffalo. Buffalo Bills versus Baltimore Ravens. I think the winner of this is going to be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. So this is a huge game, and I don't know who to pick. I know on my bracket I took the Ravens to make the Super Bowl, but after seeing how the Bills played last weekend and their defense tightened up, and they're in Buffalo, crowd's going to be loud. It's going to be cold, like Andy said. It's going to be super cold. Lamar, he has never played in a game this cold before. It's going to be loud. It's going to be cold. Is Lamar going to get chilly? Is he going to get chilly? Josh Allen's a Superman out there. He's going to be elite. We're going to see who the real MVP is in this game, and I think it's going to be Josh Allen. I know I picked the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, and I'm kind of going against my bracket here, but it just feels like the Bills are going to win. And personally, I want the Bills to win because I think they have a better chance. I think their team's set up better to beat the Chiefs than the Ravens are. I think Lamar would choke it away. I think Josh Allen is up to the challenge. So I'm not really going to give an official pick here because I really do think it's a coin toss, and I think the Ravens are overall a better team. I think Josh Allen is the reason the Bills are going to win this game. But I'm not going to give a pick. I just want to enjoy the game and like Andy said, Keon Coleman. Maybe I'll do a little prop bet on Keon Coleman because he gave some really good reasons for why Keon Coleman might have a breakout game this week. So we're just going to enjoy that game. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take the Bills. Bills are going to win this game. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills. All right. That's the end of the show. That is podcast episode 2. I wanted to finish off with Pog's Jukebox with a song that's been stuck in my head. And it's going to play us out. You can start the song. It's by Nonsense on TikTok. I don't know the whole story, but apparently she used to be homeless, and she made this cover of a Glorb song, which was an AI SpongeBob like kind of rap song, and she plays the guitar really cool. She's got a really unique voice, and just listen to this song. She does little SpongeBob voices and stuff, but I love this song. I love her. I gave her a follow on TikTok. You should go follow her too because she's really inspirational. She's very talented. Thanks for watching the podcast. Nonsense.
Sipping heavily, I mean idle. When I hit the beat, call it tidal. Gary is my shadow as he goes wherever I. Meow, meow, meow. Gary hit him with a meow.